Haunted hotels are said to be riddled with spirits lurking around the halls and making things go bump in the night. From a former ship-turned-hotel to the place that inspired an iconic scary movie, these hotels of horror are sure to keep you up at night. That is, if you're brave enough to book a room. Here are the top 5 haunted hotels you should never visit. Let's jump in. Coming in at number 5, we have Clown Motel in Nevada. In the 5th spot is the motel that's horrifying for so many reasons, hauntings aside. If you're afraid of clowns, like most people, I highly suggest you steer clear from this place. Located in Nevada, the Clown Motel is home to over 600 creepy clowns. To make matters worse, the motel's neighbor is, of course, a cemetery. Why not? It may look like it's straight out of a horror film, but don't worry, the Clown Motel only displays happy looking clowns, as if that's any better. Aside from the clowns, the motel has wood paneling on the walls reminiscent of the 1970s and bedrooms with outdated bedding. For some reason, that makes it creepier. Next door is the Old Tonopah Cemetery, where the hotel's haunting is said to come from. Over 300 people were laid to rest there, some dying from suicide, murder, the Belmont mine fire, and a plague that cursed the area in 1902. The cause of it all is still unknown. Ghost adventurers visited the location in 2017 and caused a boom in popularity. The property was recently sold and the new owners are carrying on with the theme, constantly adding new clowns to the motel's collection. Coming in at number 4, we have Langham Hotel London. This historic hotel opened its doors in 1865, and in came many famous patrons over the years like Mark Twain, Oscar Wilde, and Winston Churchill. It's also said to be incredibly haunted, and given the age, it makes sense. A number of ghosts are known to frequent the property, one being a German prince. Story goes that the man plunged to his death by jumping out of a window before the start of World War I. He can be seen in his military uniform lingering around the 4th floor window. There's said to be a doctor who murdered his wife before killing himself while on their honeymoon. Legend also says that the Emperor Napoleon III spent his last days at the Langham Hotel and can now be spotted roaming the halls. Like most haunted hotels, there's always one room that's plagued the most by paranormal activity. At the Langham Hotel, that room is 333. Can we just talk about the fact that 333 times 2 is 666? Coincidence? I think that's a reach. The most common spectre spotting happens in the room by a man in Victorian era clothes. Also, Cher stayed at that hotel once, I remember, because I saw the paparazzi shots on the Daily Mail website. Coming in at number 3, we have Queen Mary, Long Beach. The RMS Queen Mary is a British ocean liner turned hotel that's known for its many spirits aboard and below deck. Making its maiden voyage in 1936, she eventually served as a transport ship for Allied troops in World War II. Today, this floating haunted hotel calls SoCal home, aka Southern California, because I didn't know we were doing the lingo up in here. SoCal. While converted as a troop carrier during the war, the ship collided with her escort, slicing the HMS Caracal in half. Around 300 people drowned as a result. Throughout the years, staff and guests have reported seeing many different apparitions and have experienced unexplained events. Screams and wails can be heard coming from the boiler room, where a young sailor was said to have been severed in half by a door. There have also been reports of a little girl who likes to play games with the living by the swimming pool. The saloon on the Queen Mary is a hotspot for Lady in White sightings, who is said to be a first-class passenger. At least she haunts in style, often being spotted dancing in a long ball gown. Perhaps the most haunted spot in the hotel is located on the infamous B deck, specifically suite B340. They actually stopped offering the suite because they received an abundance of complaints about paranormal activity. Of course, this drew mass attention to the room, so they now offer a ghost package for those brave enough to spend the night in the most haunted suite on the ship. With its intriguing and checkered past, it's no surprise that the Queen Mary was once labelled by Time magazine as one of the top 10 most haunted places on Earth. In at number 2, we have the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. The Stanley Hotel is perhaps the most infamous haunted hotel in the world, and for a good reason. It's said to be so haunted that author Stephen King based his popular novel The Shining on the colonial revival style hotel, which was later adapted into the hit film starring Jack Nicholson. Should you decide to spend a night at the Stanley Hotel, you'll be spending it among a plethora of spirits that are said to haunt the grounds, and not all of them are human. But let's look back to the hotel's haunted history. It was built by inventor freelance Oscar Stanley, who moved to Colorado hoping to relieve his tuberculosis symptoms in 1903. One season later, he was a new man, no longer weak and frail. He was so overjoyed that he decided to build a sophisticated hotel, and in 1908, the Stanley Hotel opened its doors. Stanley lived until the ripe age of 91, but his spirit is said to still roam the halls of the place he loved. His wife, Flora, also has been spotted in the hotel and is known to play the piano. All ghosts play the piano, apparently. Another spirit is that of a housekeeper named Elizabeth Wilson. She was seriously injured on the property in an explosion, but thankfully survived. Her spirit is said to reside in room 217, which happens to be the same room that Stephen King stayed in. The author apparently had a nightmare of his young son being chased around the hotel. On the 4th floor, guests and staff have reported hearing children laughing and playing. There's also a spirit of a little boy named Billy who is known to play with the hair of guests. So the next type of ghost isn't actually that scary, more cute if anything. On the grounds there's a small pet cemetery. People have reported seeing apparitions of a cat and dog roaming around. The Stanley Hotel also has an underground cave system below with a high concentration of minerals that are said to attract spirits. And finally, in at number 1 we have the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. Located in the dirty underbelly of LA, the Cecil Hotel is not for the faint of heart. It has housed famous serial killers, a bizarre mystery, and tons of death, but let's start at the beginning. In its glory, the Cecil was the definition of opulence, with a grand marble lobby, stained glass windows, and beautiful statues. But that quickly fell through when it was hit hard by the Great Depression. In 1931, the Cecil had its first of many suicides. The once elegant hotel and the area around it slowly became what we know today as Skid Row. After a string of more suicides, the hotel became a place for people to die. Perhaps the most grim death was when a woman gave birth in the hotel, and in a panic, she threw herself out the window. Let's say she did that. I like changing history so that I can keep it in. Elizabeth Short, famously known as the Black Dahlia, was also said to have had a drink in the hotel's lobby days before her gruesome murder. Even more famous, or should I say infamous, people have frequented the Cecil Hotel. In the 1980s, Richard Ramirez, or the Night Stalker, was terrorizing the West Coast, murdering at least 38 people in less than a year. The serial killer called the Cecil home and based his operations out of the hotel. He allegedly even dumped bloody clothes and evidence in the dumpsters behind it. Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger also resided at the Cecil in the 1990s. After serving time in prison for a murder conviction back in his home country, he checked into the Cecil while working as a journalist. He murdered 3 sex workers and even reported on his crimes until he was caught. The Cecil Hotel found itself at the center of a mystery in 2013 that took the world by storm. The disappearance of Elisa Lam made headlines. The 21-year-old tourist's body was found floating in the hotel's water tank. Her death was ruled accidental and attributed to mental illness, but there are very strange elements to the story that still leave doubt in people's minds. There's security camera footage that shows Elisa in the elevator acting rather strange. She seems to be hiding by pressing her body up against the wall, occasionally peeking out and acting as if someone is in there. Whether you believe her death was accidental, homicide, or paranormal, it's still an incredibly bizarre and haunting story. Although the Cecil Hotel has since been rebranded and has undergone a facelift, there are too many deaths and sinister stories attached to the hotel for it to not be haunted. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with that list? Have you ever stayed in a haunted hotel? Let me know down below. Leave us all your thoughts and feelings, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Red Comrade of Steel 1974 said, Lucy McPhee, wherever you are, you're my first and favorite host. I'm your first host? How's that work? Surely I'm not the first. If I am, you're welcome. Usually I'm not. Because I'm still kind of new compared to others. Actually, that's kind of a lie now. I'm kind of old. I'm pretty old. I'm old news, but still the best news, you know? Niant Kotagari said, quality of the movies in this universe is making a downward steep. I pulled these comments a long time ago. I think they're talking about the Conjuring movies, and I couldn't agree more. The only 2 that I really enjoyed were the Conjuring and the Conjuring 2. I haven't seen the Conjuring 3. Hate all of the Annabelle movies. Hated The Nun. Piece of Conjuring 2 was the best, and they have not topped it. Priyan said, fun fact, when people watched The Conjuring in theaters in Germany, when the movie ended, a priest had to bless the theaters because people felt a strange presence watching the movie. I mean, I don't believe it. I don't. But if you want to believe it, that's fine. Believe what you want to believe. I don't think it's real. You know, spirits. But I can't say that because people will yell, sure it's real. Crystal Ratcliffe said, our 5-year-old has all 3 Annabelle movies, the Teplic doll, dress and her makeup. Her 5th birthday party was Annabelle themed, plus she was Annabelle for Halloween last year, hence the makeup. She's 5, like I'm really concerned because you've clearly introduced her to it. I'm a bit worried. I'm not going to comment anything else, I find it a bit odd. I'm nervous for you. I'll see you on the news. Prep for It said, all good films in the series with some being great, thanks for the marathon. You are very welcome. There's only 2 good movies, never forget. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and until next time, I'll see you later. Ghost Adventures visited the Ghost Adventures she loves it. Not that haunted if Cher wants to be all up in that. Haven't spoken about her in a while, so I've got to name drop her back in. It has been a while. She's just on the mind because I saw pictures of her on the Daily Mail website today and yesterday. They keep like snapping her. Yes, she's always relevant. They're making a biopic about her life. So don't be rude. Caracal, right? Carousel? It's like what you put in a star. The blue. That's Caracal. Well, no, you got the 2. You got Sourpuss and Caracal. Carousel. Carousel or Caracal? It's got one of those, you know, creepy ass. Just kidding, cut that out. I sound like an ass. I am being sarcastic, but no one can ever tell, apparently. You wanted to cough at the same time as me?